All right, what is up, everybody? Happy Monday. Just got back in town from a very fun weekend in Asheville, North Carolina. If any of you all have been to Asheville before, good spot. Thank you for the hospitality, everyone in Nashville. And now I'm actually getting on a plane in like 2 hours to go to Boston. So very busy week, but fun, but a good week overall. So hope everyone is gearing up. For a lot of you, this is like what your last full week of the quarter, if you're on that Salesforce calendar, or just almost the last week of the month. Hopefully, this year's been a little easier on you than last year, the years before. And as always, pumped for today's conversation. Everyone's trying to figure out freaking outbound. Let's call it what it is. I'm pulling up LinkedIn too, so guys, just give me 1 second here, so that way I can see all your comments. I can see, hey Jake, answer my question about this. All right, so let's get into it. How to increase outbound optimization. And if you have not, my friends, number 22 on the USA Today bestseller list. Let's go. So that was my big win from last week. Out of all books, like the top Dog Man was number 2, and this was 22. So like fiction, nonfiction, all book sales in the US, Innovative Seller was number 22. So thank you, all of you, for your support. So I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the, sharing the book, getting it into your companies, etc. As well. And so yeah, I just can't thank you all enough for all of that support. So we did a poll last week, which I do all the time. I do this like relatively regularly, and the results for Outbound were not great. Right. We had almost 60 people respond. Our team hasn't had time to break down the job titles and those things yet, but we will do that. 61% of people said they're missing outbound targets. 15%, and let me see here. I think I guess I could share my screen. Basically, long story short, 81% of people said they're missing their outbound target. So based on our result, 60 salespeople, 81% missing outbound this year. Now, of that, let's see here. I'm just going to type it in. 15% of those said they were within 10%. 15% said within 10%. So that's not too, those people aren't too bad. So, all right, let's see. Okay, comments are working too. So that's always a positive. Okay, so let's talk about why this is happening. Okay, and I'm going to talk about, there's a few different things here. I've done this before, if you've ever heard me, kind of talk about this, but part of this, right, is about kind of this always optimization mindset. So one of the biggest issues, so we do a lot of outbound optimization for companies, a lot. I don't know if there's anyone in the world who does more sales engagement deployments than our team does, right? So this isn't from like Jake's opinion. Our team at any given time is doing 30 different deployments or overhauls of sales engagement platforms, right? So if you're not one of those technology companies, there's probably nobody who's doing more than we are. And I will tell you, one of the most consistent reasons why companies are missing, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm going to give you guys some reasons for that. But one of the most consistent reasons is just the optimization cycles. So if your team, again, if you want to increase optimization, I'm just going to start to like rattle through this. Optimization cycles are inconsistent. So again, some of you may be data nerds, some of you might not be data nerds. If you're pumping tens or hundreds of thousands of data points through a system, okay, and you're seeing results, you're seeing subject lines that are getting opens or not, you're seeing positive reviews or replies, you're seeing people clicking on things, my friends, and again, you've probably heard me beat this up quite a bit, but it's like, if you're spending all this money on outbound and you're watching these behaviors, instead of having big sweeping optimization cycles every 6 months, which is what a lot of people do, or even the better part is they throw out their sales engagement platform and go get a new sales engagement platform to just like try to like start over. And it's like, no, that's not the problem. Like the problem is like you're not optimizing fast enough. And so it's like the easiest thing you can do, and I talk about it in the book, I don't remember what chapter it is, it's one of the last few chapters, which is consistent performance optimization. It's one of the 4 C's, but I talk quite a bit about how to do this at scale and how to build an optimization cycle that can move quickly, that requires a few call it hours every other week, and will start to get you to see like incrementally better results, right? So again, like we've done some of this, like what if you just got like 2% better, every 2 weeks versus these big like 5% better jumps every quarter. At the end of the year, one would be up 26% and the other would be up 9%. Right? So if you do smaller optimizations that might not get you big wins every time, over and over, you get 2%, you get 2% better on 2%, 2% better on 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%. Like you're almost 3x further along, as opposed to if you did, every quarter you got 5% better just by getting 2% better more consistently. So here's the numbers. Here's what we have here. And again, it's just like this is like compounding interest, right? Like if you all have a 401k, it's no different here. So, all right, that is number 1. Okay, so when you think about why am I not hitting my outbound numbers, is you have to speed up your optimization cycle. I don't mean you have to go spend 5 hours every week, but what I am saying is you need to be able to have a process where you are consistently reviewing performance and making small incremental changes, not trying to like swing for the fences and make huge home runs. Okay. So another thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about activities. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about activity measurement. And if you're still measuring activities to determine your success as your top of the funnel, you're in the right spot. So I'm just going to talk to you about a few different things that we think about. That again, these are all from the book, right? Is number 2 is measure to first outcomes. This is what I say a lot. Is measure the first outcome, which I like to define as a meaningful conversation. And meaningful conversation, Jake, how do you define a meaningful conversation? Well, meaningful conversation means I talk to the person and we're trying to book a time together, or I talk to that person's EA or somebody else and they're putting me in touch with them. Why does this matter today? Right. And again, measure the first outcome, or 1 to 2 variables that could be your leading indicator. Right. Too many people, like another reason why I think so many companies are failing at outbound is they're trying to measure a whole bunch of stuff. Like 1, they don't have the optimization cycles to really do anything about it. So they don't do anything about it. And then 2, they're just consistently measuring activities raw as like the leading pipeline indicator. And I can tell you right now, like one of the big things that you can think about as a part of this is for a lot of you, it used to be, and again, if you've heard me, if you've joined a live before, or if you've heard me on other people's podcasts, you've probably heard me talk about this a little bit. But if every activity somebody's doing is the same, right? If it's a uniform activity type, so everyone's doing high quality outbound activities to try to generate meetings, great. If that is the case with your business, where every touch point is somewhat customized to the person, and the goal of it is to generate a meeting with the touch point every time, then you can actually start with activities, because all your activities are the same. Like they're like very similar types. The goals and outcomes are the same. Now let's take a different approach. If I'm measuring activities, but one of them is Jake is just hitting send all on an email, low quality. The other is Jake customizing an email, high quality. I can't measure peer activities at that point, because I can always go do more activities of the crappier quality activities that are going to still equal bad results. So it's like if all the activity types are the same, then you can measure activities. If instead you have a massive variance of activity types where you're hitting send all a whole bunch, or you're hitting all, like it's like a mix of like a LinkedIn touch point of this, measuring activities is less effective and accurate. And I would, again, like I'm open to conversation here. If anybody's like, Jake, that's bullshit. But I'm telling you, if every activity isn't the same, you don't have a control group, right? Like you've got Johnny's doing 100 activities, but he's hitting send all. Susie's doing 100 activities, but she's hitting send all on 20 and customizing 80 touch points. Like those all get mashed together, and then we look at these activity metrics that should lead to meetings booked, and then they don't add up because you got different people doing different types of things. Okay, so that's what I want you to think about. If you want to get better at outbound, stop obsessing over volume of activities. Instead, obsess over what is generating outcomes and how do I consistently optimize for those. All right. So the last kind of piece I'll talk about here, again, I think a lot of people are, I don't know, like trying to figure out some of these things, trying to figure out a lot of these. The first thing I'll kind of call out here is something that we launched, right? And I'll jump into some of this here in a second here. But if you're somebody who does use outreach, for example, and even if you use a different one, one of the things that we realized is that it's very, very difficult for people to know what to actually like view and look at. So we created what's called Performance Pulse. So go check this out. This is for my consistent optimization people, because I got sick of it too. Like our clients are like, Jake, we can't optimize fast enough because we don't have data. But if you're ever curious, you want to know like what's working across all my sequences, what's working across all my whatever, like go check out what we're doing with Performance Pulse. I really think that this is like, I struggle to understand why people weren't doing consistent optimization in particular. And then I finally had the epiphany. The reason people aren't doing consistent optimization is for me to find out, hey, what was my number one email over the last 3 days that went out 100 times and got the best reply rate? Cool, great, boom, grab that headline. I'm gonna use that now for these 3. Hey, my top performing sequence, which step is converting at the highest amount? Hey, what type of touch point, call, email, manual email, LinkedIn touch point, what's actually converting at the highest? Boop. So imagine having like a dashboard or a cockpit to help to solve consistent performance optimization. So we built Performance Pulse. But more details coming soon on that as a part of this. So if you're looking for data and analytics, that's what I would definitely do as a part of this. So again, if you want to get better, you have to stop thinking, I'm going to all of a sudden get 25% better. That's one thing, right? Consistent performance optimization is like, I'm going to get 25% better over the next 6 to 12 months by doing smaller optimizations more consistently. I've got the data and analytics to do it. I've got consistent time blocked out in our calendars. We're going to do that. Next, if I want to get better, I'm going to stop. And anyone can, and please feel free, give a thumbs up or a clap or whatever feels natural, depending on what your vantage point. There's no thumbs down. You could give a thumbs down too if you don't, like it's YouTube or something. Is that if you want to get better at outbound and you want to not be in the 81%, you have to start obsessing over the outcomes being generated and what led to them being generated versus this idea that I can just hit more and do more emails and more calls and get to my number versus looking at what is giving me the actual leading indicators to book a meeting. And that's where this kind of meaningful conversation comes in. Okay. And again, maybe for you, it could be something different. Like I'm okay if you have a different definition, but I will tell you raw activity does not incentivize the right behavior, nor is the data accurate. Your activity, again, this is what we got to realize, your activity data is not accurate because it's a mix of activities and you're not pulling out the data and the insights to say these activities drive outcomes. So instead you have to go look at the first outcomes. Oh, it doesn't work. All right, well, I'll try to work on that. You have to work on the first outcomes, and then you have to go and try to look at, let's see, link. It should work. Try the link again. I just used it, and it worked. There you go. Lewis, sorry, I was on a roll there. But I do like to hop in with the there we go. There we go. All right, someone else dropped it too. But anyway, I digress. When I get in the zone, I'm just like, oh God. So anyway, back to that idea, right? So if you want to drive 25% better results, it's not going to happen in this monumental leap. Give up all hope. If I had a cheat code that would help all of you get 25% more meetings tomorrow, I would tell it to you, but it doesn't exist. Instead, I'm going to give you the cheat code to get a little bit better on all of these over time. and then you're going to see stupid results. Okay. The last thing is around content. So I've talked a lot about the structure. So I've got this process to review more consistently. I'm starting to track that, but I will give you some of the cheat code on content, which is like relevancy is all that works. So what do I mean by that? I got to tell you, I was on site with a client 2 weeks ago, and they are crushing outbound, all calls. This is a very high tech company. They sell into HR and finance, and calls is the number one thing that's working for them by a like long shot. So let me ask you this: why do we think cold calls are actually working whenever all we hear is they're dead? Because they're not automated, right? The person on the other end of the phone has to be able to say something relevant, which is, I know in this industry with this trend, this is what's most interesting. Is this a problem that you're having? Yes or no? Like, I'm just telling you right now, relevancy is all that works. Okay. If you're somebody who wants to understand how to use it, I'm putting a link in here to the custom G. Let me just drop a few different things in here. We've got some free stuff too. I think all of you should check out. If you're somebody who's like, Jake, how do I actually do this? Go sign up. Here's like a couple different things you can check out. Like, one is the AI Unleashed series. That's the bi-weekly. Actually, it's this Wednesday. Free. We're talking about how to apply ChatGPT to help you to be more relevant. Like, if you're like somebody who's like, look, Jake, I want to get up to speed. I want to do more relevant information. ChatGPT is your cheat code. Like, ChatGPT is the number one way to do that. So tune into the AI Unleashed. Another thing you might want to do is check out one of our workshops. If you're like, Jake, I know that ChatGPT can help me with this. Do not use ChatGPT to write emails. For the love of God, please do not do that. But it is very good at doing relevancy-based snippets. So we've got a custom GPT. Its whole job is to pull out, like, okay, forget industry, forget manufacturing. What's the sub-industry? Oh, they manufacture kettlebells. So high volume, high weight, freight's probably an issue, blah, blah, blah. So within this, kettlebell manufacturing, like workout facility manufacturing, or equipment manufacturing, what are the top 3 trends for VPs of operations? That is what it's really good at. It's really good at getting very, very precise on a sub-industry and a sub-industry married to a persona. So yeah, make sure you go check that out. Or make sure, for one, you're definitely signed up for me and KD's series every Wednesday, or every other Wednesday. That's a no-brainer. And then if you're ready to go deep on how to get ChatGPT to get me more relevant insights, there's nothing like this that has ever existed in the history of humanity. That is how serious understanding ChatGPT and tools like it. If you like Perplexity or whichever one you like, you just can't do custom GPTs, which is what I really like ChatGPT, because then I can build bots for specific use cases. That's what you have, again, and I think about, where's the puck going? How can you cut through the noise? Relevancy is all that works. Relevancy, relevancy, relevancy. You don't have to go too far around cheesy customization. I call it cheesy customizations. People that are doing the old, Jake, I know that you went to this college. Jake, I see you're the whatever, some stupid basic stuff. If you send me a note, and I was telling somebody, I get on one hand a quarter an email that even comes close to hitting the mark to say, Jake, look, I know of the CEO of a small to medium professional services business. Here are probably your top 2 challenges. 1 is headcount and utilization. 2 is profitability and driving leads. If you're trying to really focus on the first one, which is utilization, we've got a way that can help your people to stay 10% more utilized. Let's go. I'm taking that meeting 100% of the time, because the person literally knew how to pull in some info in my business. So that's it. Those are my 3 tips for you. Okay. 1, you have to put in place more. Stop looking for only 25%. Now, in the book, one of the principles in consistent performance optimization is called moonshots. Because here's the thing: when you get in that performance rhythm, give your team 5% of their time to try weird random stuff that could leapfrog you. But don't think you're going to get to 25% just through moonshots, right? If you have a consistent performance optimization, you apply the principles of the book, right? If you guys have not bought the book, go buy the book, number 22. USA Today bestseller, right? This isn't like an Amazon bestseller. It's like a real bestseller, which I've learned a lot about. And the reason is, again, we talk about very tactical principles. In the community, I just dropped the link. It was awesome. A woman posted about like chapter 7 she was reading. She's like, oh my gosh, like this is tactical. I know exactly what to do now. And she went and, applied it. So definitely go do it. I think the book's like that discounted down to like $25. So, it's kind of a no-brainer. You can get the Kindle version. The audio version will be out, I think, in like 2 weeks. But you got to do that. You have to have consistent processes in place to optimize. Number 2, right, is I can't continue to just think about activity if all my activities aren't the same. Cannot track activity as your leading indicator to setting meetings unless all your activities are the same. Because if not, your activities will go up, but chances are it's with the lowest quality of types of outreach, which is hitting send all. And so it's going to throw all your numbers off. So if you've been trying to forecast based on activities and you're like, Jake, I don't understand why it's not working. I just told you why it's not working. So instead, how can I track? Hey guys, we are going to be tracking maniacally conversations you're having every day. And are they with the right people? Did people respond, etc.? And then last but not least is relevancy is all that works today. You cannot get away with just insert custom field, cheesy customization. And then you can use ChatGPT to cheat, and you can say, I want to learn what the top 3 trends are for furniture manufacturers of low cost, high fashion furniture, and what a VP of operations is facing right now. Competition from China, blah, 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 right? So relevancy. So if you want to get outbound results up by 25%, you got to have the data, do it on a consistent basis. Go check out what we're doing with Performance Pulse, set up time with the team, talk about that. 2 is, again, you've got to start tracking meaningful conversations. You got to stop tracking activities alone. If someone's underperforming, they're not putting in the work, sure, track activities for that person. But as a company, you need to be tracking what's working, not just hitting send all. And then last but not least is relevancy. If you're not being relevant, you're not going to hit goals. So my friends, that's what I got for you. Make sure to tune in. I just dropped the link, that AI Unleashed series. That'll be me and KD this Wednesday. I'll be coming to you live from one of our clients' office in Boston. So that should be pretty fun. And yeah, really excited for the rest of the week. Hope everyone wraps up the rest of your week strong. And we'll see everybody on Wednesday. Take care.